Breaking news, Amazon just changed the terms of service again on us. The only constant is that they constantly change the rules, but this has to do with the way you write titles for your listings. And if you're doing it wrong, you could lose your entire account, not just your listing. So I want to go through really quickly what the changes are, make sure you get compliant, and you do it in the best way to make sure you do not risk the success you already have with your products. There's a lot of misinformation being spread around on how to handle this. Some people are just using ChatGPT to fix it. That's not the right way to list your product on Amazon and get it to rank for many keywords. There is an art and a science to this, and we need to address it. So pay attention in this video. I'm going to walk you through the changes and how to handle it. The biggest and most obvious change is that they've gone from 250 characters to 200 characters. Now, this doesn't seem like a huge deal, but it actually is. If you're over that limit, your listing will not comply with the guidelines. They're threatening to remove it and potentially suspend your account. So you've got to reduce your title size. Now, for indexing purposes, most of your characters after 150 are not weighted as heavily. We know this from a lot of testing and a lot of data. So a lot of that is wasted space anyway. But it's still really important that you write your listing to optimize for indexing, to tell Amazon what you're selling, and make sure you don't have any gaps. Now, there's a couple new things I'm going to talk to you later about in this video about how Amazon's algorithm works, how it used to work, and how it's going to be working in the future with AI reading your listing versus a keyword match. Now, this has been talked about quite a bit, but let's get through the rest of these changes so that you're around it, and then we'll go back to the science behind it. Now, they also have a rule around repetition. You used to be able to repeat words in your title. It was frowned upon, but now they're very specific around do not repeat words. I think if you have the same root word and you repeat it twice, you're probably okay. So if you're saying like backpacks for toddlers, and then you have backpacks again in your title with another long tail phrase, you'll probably be okay. But here's the thing that a lot of sellers don't know. If you repeat words more than 3 times throughout your listing, you actually lose the ability to rank for those keywords. Amazon had to build this into the algorithm for ranking credit because it was being abused by sellers a long time ago. In other words, they could take the same keyword and write it 30 times or 50 times in the listing and immediately rank to the top 5 of that keyword. And so Amazon had to write in a counter to that by saying if you write the same keyword more than 3 times, they start to reduce the amount of credit you get towards that indexing and ranking. So you don't want to be repeating a lot of keywords anyway. What we do with DataDive is that we actually make sure you are representing all the different root words. So in other words, if you're selling a toiletry bag, that can be a bathroom bag, a shaving kit, a shaving bag, a men's travel bag, a hanging toiletry bag. There's many different ways to call that, and it's even called a DOP kit in some areas in the United States. Most people don't know that. So you have all these different root words or ways people call a product that make up a lot of different search terms. So again, if it's a DOP kit, it could be like a men's DOP kit or a travel DOP kit or a DOP kit with accessories or a gray DOP kit. But that would mean that DOP kit is the root word, the repeated word throughout all of those search terms. So what we do with DataDive is we teach you how to identify what roots have the most weight because they're used in the most with the most search frequency and the most broad search volume. And then we want to make sure you don't miss any of them in your listing. That's the power of having a comprehensive, detailed data set of keywords and then being able to parse that data and use it effectively. So this is going to be where you need to do in the future. You need to make sure that you write all of those major roots in your title up to 150 characters. And then at the end of the title, you still want to put in some of those selling terms that can potentially increase conversion rate and click-through rate. Now, this is the key. Every product is slightly different with regards to whether it needs those types of details in the title or not. Sometimes certain buyers are looking for very specific sizes, colors, capacity, material type, and you need to include that. If you do not include it in your listing and they don't check that box, you're not going to get the sale. They're going to go find it and make sure it's in the listing, that they're buying the right thing, and then they can purchase it. So psychologically, you need to understand your buyer or that avatar that's typically buying your product and why they're buying it. And then make sure you build that into your listing. So towards the end of your listing, you can add those things if it moves the needle for your product, but it's not guaranteed. With supplements, it could be, more than just, it could be like the milligrams. How much of the supplement are you giving? The quantity, the count, or how many capsules you're giving, right? Those things are important to buyers because they're trying to compare things. Filtered, organic, all of these things could really be a trigger for buying, and you need to know your audience and test them. So up to 150 characters, use a few search terms, try to hit those root words. And when you're using the listing builder within DataDive, make sure you don't have any blanks down that left side where we show you the roots, because we show you title, bullets, description, how many times each root is represented in your listing once you get done writing it. You can even click a button and we write it mathematically, and that you can go back in to make sure something's not being used too frequently and that it's being represented everywhere it possibly can be. But we have our ranking juice algorithm to do it for you. Hey, if you're enjoying this content, you're going to love the masterclasses that we host on a regular basis. We've got over 1,000 members in our private community, and over 400 of them are already doing over $1 million. We regularly host masterclasses with hundreds of students, and you can find out more below. Join us. Now, they say that titles should only have a clear description. So they want you to have the minimum amount of information needed, but who's to say what the minimum amount is? This is why I still think you should probably represent 2 or 3 roots and with 2 or 3 search terms there, and then some additional needed information that could help move the needle for what those buyers are looking for. Formatting is still the same. Don't use all caps. If your brand name is all caps, you can sometimes get, the algorithm can still ding you on it and it becomes a pain. So try not to create brand names with all capital letters, and make sure you're only capitalizing just the first letter of every single word. That's a mandatory. Now, they gave us a big hint. They say that titles with under 80 characters are optimized on mobile. The reality is we're not using that for the initial click most of the time, because most people, scientifically, this has been proven that most people will only read the first 4 to 6 words before they click. They generally will click based on the image and those first 4 or 5 words. So those titles need to be very concise at the beginning of exactly what you're selling. Don't put all your fluff in the beginning. Another reason you don't put all your fluff in the beginning is because the beginning of the title is weighted the most for ranking juice and ranking credit. Amazon looks specifically there for what you're selling. So if you put those fluff keywords in the beginning, you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot and potentially confusing the ranking algorithm. And you don't want to do that. You'll never recover. Now, another really great update here is that they are specifically telling you to do what we've been teaching students to do for a long time, which is to have different titles for each variation type. Now, this is great because we teach our students to use every variation as a funnel of traffic into the parent listing. Because if someone is searching for a pink thing and you wrote pink in the beginning of the title and it indexes for pink, you're more likely to show up on those pink keywords and rank for those pink keywords. And then if they click on pink after searching pink, they're far more likely to convert than that general keyword where you're trying to compete against all the hero listings, all the black variations, right? Or the gray variations. So we teach our students to optimize for the colors and the variation styles, and then run ads at those variation styles to bolster the ranking credit on those variation keywords. Now, a lot of times those are long tail keywords, but the accumulated impact of all of those variations and the accumulated impact on the overall conversion rate help you to secure a bestseller. So that's a strategy that we teach in detail in the Inner Circle and through seller systems. Now, Amazon is rewarding sellers for doing exactly that. So I love that side of it. So outside of that, there aren't too many new changes. I do like the direction they're going. Shorter titles can be better. Don't repeat keywords. You get punished for it anyway. if you're having trouble ranking for a hero keyword, and then you might know why, because you have it written 8 times in your listing. Now, if, for example, I gave the example of toiletry bag, if I wrote toiletry 6 or 7 times throughout my listing, but with different keywords and different routes outside of toiletry, I wouldn't care that much, because I'm not trying to rank for the keyword toiletry, right? So if I get punished just for toiletry, that's okay. But the other search terms that contain toiletry are the ones I care most about. So just be aware of what you're repeating if you're forced to, based on the other root words. Now, the way that the algorithm works, let's go back to what I spoke about earlier. Amazon used to count and only look at what you wrote. So if you did not write the keyword an exact phrase match, you would not get 100% credit for it. And you might struggle to compete with your competitors who did use that exact match. Now, everything is relative on Amazon. So if no one put the exact match, you're kind of all playing on a level playing field. And so Amazon would still have to sort it out from there. But nowadays, the back end attributes matter a ton. Danny McMillan and Oana wrote a white paper. I want to link to that white paper below. I'll make sure that that happens. And what they spoke about is this new semantic match that Doofus and the other AI at Amazon are using to read your listing. Now, they have some back-end AI that is looking at what you wrote in your back-end search terms, your back-end attributes for your listing, to understand the audience, your product, and then infer a bunch of keyword credit from there. Now, that's a really good thing, because now you're not forced to stuff your listings, and it becomes more of an art than a science. And what I mean by that is the science was how you optimize for SEO based on the keyword credit that you would have to get from the way it was written originally. But now you move forward and you can write less, but write more to conversion, write more to marketing and speaking to your customer about the benefits of your product. And then that's going to be an overall better shopping experience and help you convert and make more sales. So if you have great content and you get that indexing done through this new method, I think there's a great combination here to where you can beat your competitors in 2025. So that's all I got for you with this breaking news. I know it's a little bit long of a video, but I wanted to make sure that everyone understood it at a very high level versus just take your title, feed it into ChatGPT and come back. Don't do that. You still need to make sure you're hitting the right keywords, the right benefits, and that you don't have any holes in your indexing. Moving forward, there's a combination of that AI that can happen, but until it's really drawn out and built into a system like DataDive, which is in the works, then you're not going to be able to get by with just ChatGPT. You got to use a good system that really looks at the data. Make sure you don't have any holes in your indexing. You don't know what you don't know. Look at all the data and make the best listing possible. Best of luck to you this year. Looking forward to seeing you in person at Prosper or at another event in Europe or Asia or on a masterclass call or in the inner circle. I'll talk to you then.